Good afternoon. Welcome to the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable. We are just getting started. I see our attendees coming into the room. You are in the right place. We are so glad you're here. We will get started in about 45 seconds to a minute. So if you want to grab a glass of water or something like that, now's your chance. I got mine right here, ready to go. Good morning, good morning. How is everybody this fine morning, this fine afternoon? How are you guys doing? I see a lot of people. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. It's so good to see so many returning people. All right. Lots of IT professionals on here today. Lots of our partners. I see lots of advisors. Thank you so much for being early and on time. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. While we're waiting, I will just ask you guys to use the comment and comment box to make comments, and then the questions and answers section. Go ahead and ask questions. If you do ask questions, we have two prizes that we will be giving away. They're both $50 Amazon gift cards. So one of those is for a trivia question at the very end of today's presentation from AirSpring, and AirSpring is giving away a $50 gift card for one winner of that trivia question. And then the other $50 the other $50 gift card is for a good question. So ask a question, and if it gets used, your name goes into the bowl just like usual. And without further ado, I think we will kick off today's event. Hi, thank you to everyone who lit up the chat box this morning. It's so good to see you, to see your names pop up. Let's see, we have, all right, time to get started. My name is Sonya Meline. I am the Vice President here with Technology Source. Been with Technology Source for just over a year now, and prior to that, I was a Chief Executive Sales and Marketing Officer for Effortless, a cloud computing company, Effortless Office, for about 4 years, and then I was an IT director. And so it's been fun sitting on both sides of the table as an IT director, consuming and purchasing products like the wonderful AirSpring that you have on today, as well as on the other side, working as a vendor and understanding kind of the intricacies on that side. And then coming over to this other side of the table that I didn't even really know existed as an IT director, where we work with vendors who maybe don't even have direct salespeople, which is the case for AirSpring. AirSpring works with partners like us at Technology Source and like our advisors and our agents to get the word out about their wonderful products and services. So thank you to those advisors who are on today's virtual roundtable and to all of our partners, because you're the sales force, right? You're the ones that are spreading the word and helping customers who are, maybe going through problems, maybe having issues with their internet, maybe having, issues with getting those work from home users connected. And so you're kind of on the front lines, and so we're grateful that you're here. I commend you for taking the time out of your busy day to learn and grow with us as we learn here at Technology Source. And so I want to introduce two gentlemen today who have come today to share with you along the lines of the topic of what the heck happens to an organization when their internet goes down. I mean, it seems, for most of us, like me, it's like the end of the world, right? But what about if your organization relies on internet to carry out its daily business? And so we're going to talk about some of that today. And to do that, we have Mr. Scott Haley, a native of Texas and a telecom industry executive with a 20-plus year record in sales and business development, who has been strategically responsible for helping technology providers develop their programs. And so we are so excited to have Scott here today. His experience ranges from being successful, feet on the street technology sales rep to VP and business development and strategic alliances. So I'm happy to have Scott. How are you, Scott, today? And where are you calling in from today?
Well, I'm doing great, but it's kind of odd to be in the business 20 plus years when I'm only 32. So anyway, I'm actually calling in from Dallas, Fort Worth. I'm a Texas boy, born and raised.
Well, it's good to see you. It's good to have you on with us today, and welcome back to the Technology Source Virtual Roundtable.
Great to be here.
All right. And then we also have Mr. John Young, the Senior Vice President of Channel Sales for AirSpring. John is a highly respected telecom industry executive with a deep record of leadership. He joined AirSpring after more than 13 years at NetFortress, where he was the Executive Vice President of Global Sales and Global Channel Chief. He's previously served as the Senior Vice President of Global Sales at Finality, where he was responsible for building the North American and international sales teams and program from the ground up. He is instrumental in personally developing many unique partnerships. We're excited to have him here today. I know you're calling in today from Oklahoma. And tell us about an award that you just won recently, John. I'm excited to hear, and congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you, Sonya. Yeah, I got recognized as one of the top channel chiefs. That news came out today, so hot off the presses. I'm excited about that. Humbled to have that honor.
That's so great. I mean, especially since your organization really relies on the channel, I can see how a great international organization like AirSpring can really benefit from somebody with your experience. And we're so excited to have you both here today. So, well, without further ado, I want to just jump into the topic of the day. Let's talk about internet downtime, dun, 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 and what we can do as, IT executives and IT, advisors to help organizations combat this really pesky, frustrating thing.
Absolutely. Would you like me to go ahead and start the presentation?
Yeah, let's do it. And then just a reminder to our audience, because I see about 15 of you that just joined in the last 2 minutes. So Sonya Meline is here, and I am taking your names. If you ask questions, I'm going to put them in this bowl, and then at the end, you have the chance to win a fun prize, $50 gift card from AirSpring. All right, let's learn.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to bring you this topic today because I think it's another one of those those pieces of information that as an agent, a trusted advisor, even an IT professional, it's one of the things that sometimes gets left out. What happens if our internet goes down? Do we have a backup plan? Those are very important things. And so I thought this was a good topic to bring to the table today in this webinar series so that, we could just discuss kind of what we bring to the table, but also questions you should ask and things to be aware of as you go along and are starting to evaluate your own situation today. Okay, so a little bit about AirSpring. AirSpring, 20-year-old company. We turned 20 this year. Pretty proud of that. Being in the channel the entire time. We're a 100% channel company, as Sonya mentioned, and we're very proud of that. We support our agents, we support our partners, and that's something that not many companies can say out there. We're debt-free and profitable. Another thing that's a great piece of information when you're talking about who do I support, what company do I put my faith in. We're a global managed provider, local CLEC, national CLEC, and we provide service to more than 20,000 customers. So we've been doing this a while. We've accumulated a lot of great customers, some great logos. We're going to spare you the logo slide, but just know that we do have customers of all sizes. We feel like we're the experts when it comes to managed services, primarily, a primary backup, SD-WAN, actually multiple flavors of SD-WAN now that we're expanding that offering globally, UCaaS, SIP trunking, security. I mean, the managed service business is what we do. This is what we're made for, and it's what we're the best at. So you should look no further for your managed services than AirSpring. We operate one of the largest IP networks in the United States. And if you think about processing 4.5 billion calls a month, you need a pretty good network. You need subject matter experts. You need a great NOC. You need great support. And that's what we have. And it's one of the things that's a pillar of AirSpring is customer service and a great agent customer experience. We want your experience with AirSpring to be the best that it can be. There's a lot of choices out there for your services. We want to make sure that you trust us at the end of the day. So when we're talking about backup and internet downtime, what do the research say? Not what me as a sales guy coming in and trying to scare you into thinking that you need something. Let's look at the research. It seems like they all come in around the same thing, and it's all not great when you talk about a small business. And when you think of small business, it's sort of a vague term of, is it 10 employees? Is it 100 employees? And a small business never really thinks of themselves as a small business. But let's say it's a 100-employee company. That's very costly. When you're talking $8,000 to $75,000, and then you get people $20,000 an hour. I mean, it really starts to add up when you're talking to a customer or an IT professional. When you just ask these questions, what would it take what would it do to your business if the internet was to go down? If there's a fiber cut down the street, what happens to your business? The losses can mount up. And so the research agrees, but at the end of the day, it's very costly for a business to be down. And I think we can all agree that internet has become our life and it runs our business these days. So just a short list. I mean, some of the questions that that you want to ask when you're diving into this process. Just look at the short list of things that we've got here. The transactional revenue. You ever walked into a gas station and they said cash only today? Yeah, their internet's down. And that, some people turn around and walk away. And that's one of the things that is troublesome. You can't have those transactions. You can't buy and sell goods. Employees, non-productive employees. You ever been a part of a sales organization where your internet was down and everybody decided to go to lunch? Or they decided to go home for the day? Can't work, internet's down. Yeah, great excuse for non-producing sales reps, but it makes everyone non-productive as well. There's other things here that with the day, the cancel culture and everybody, putting bad reviews. Just think about the goodwill from the customers, the bad publicity, the brand damage it could do. And it's really, you think about it, it's avoidable with some of the options that are out there. But at the end of the day, losing your internet is pretty bad. Now with everybody working from home, maybe there's VPNs into special servers that are at your office. Maybe your UCaaS helps with the remote employees. There's a lot more factors now than there has been ever. And so when you take a look at these things, you lose internet, you basically lose all ability to run a business. And running a business on a hotspot, not as good as it used to be. That used to be, hey, just pull your cell phone out and run on a hotspot. If that's your backup plan, yeah, I think everybody on the call would agree we need to talk. All right. So it does affect businesses a little different. You think about the use cases in any product or service that you're selling. Look at the use case because that's where you're going to find your pain points. That's where you're going to find the opportunity to start talking about backup and start talking about other products. When you look at healthcare organizations, obviously you would think these companies and these organizations need the highest of redundancy, the highest of backup. Some do, maybe some don't. But you think of the things that you lose in those cases with healthcare, just access to records, access to things that are off-site, just being able to check a patient's history that may be stored on a server, not locally. All those things are important. Obviously, financial investments. The financial institution is down. Guess what they can't do? Make trades. They can't make sure that their customers are serviced. And that's highly volatile these days. Just think if you got stuck with GameStop and your internet went down. Whoops, not so good. Restaurants. Everything is order online these days. Restaurants, most likely, they're not thinking about the backup internet. They're not thinking about their backup plan. But they could lose big when their customers are actually ordering online. That they may be able to order from an app that's not theirs, but that order can't get to the restaurant because their internet's not online. And the list goes on and on. It's in today's world, find the use case, find the industry, and then see how they operate. See what happens when everything's connected to the internet. That business will suffer if it goes down. So find that use case, you'll find the opportunity.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, John, we do have a question, and then just to kind of piggyback on the healthcare space, Having been in that space as an IT director, you can't tell a patient, oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you, our internet's down. But the reality is a lot of times that's really what happens, and you're stuck in the middle of trying to input data or something like that. And it can be a huge quagmire for the doctor or the nurses or the front desk staff. And so getting really solid redundant internet, the various things that you guys I'm sure are going to talk about were always top of mind for me as an IT director. And I knew that was kind of the thorn in our side was internet, especially since we, as the organization I was working with, were relying more and more on cloud products. Like our health records were in the cloud, our billing software was in the cloud, all of our desktop was in the cloud. So that meant no internet, no cloud, no work. So it was hugely effective or ineffective, depending on if we had it or not. We did get a question about workforce who is in a hybrid scenario, and this is from James L. James, I got your name in here. You're the first question of the day. Thank you. Will SD-WAN help with Zoom call quality with a workforce that is in a hybrid office and work from home situation? Maybe you could speak to that, or if that's coming later. It sounds like that might be later on in your presentation.
Yeah, we've got some of that later on, but it's a really good question.
Yeah,
and I can address it now if you'd like.
Sure.
There's a lot of, everybody's talking about SD-WAN and really the home use of SD-WAN, the home use of executives. You're still working like you're at your office, but really you're competing with everything else that's going on at your home. Zoom is not located at your home office. It's located in the cloud. So what you really need is basically a home office bundle. We offer that. There are others that offer it as well, where you can put an SD-WAN box at your house to control the traffic, to segment that traffic properly or direct it as needed. Maybe your kids are on Xbox and PlayStation all day or watching Netflix, and you've got to do Zoom videos. It's really important for an executive or anyone that is important working from home to make sure that traffic is prioritized. So SD-WAN comes into play in a home scenario when you're talking about the Zoom videos and just heavy usage on the internet. There's a big investment in the things that people use. Maybe it's Salesforce and other processes. Maybe there's an ERP system that you log into. But Zoom videos, you need that call quality because that's where everybody's meeting these days. So it's a small investment when you think about the executive presence and continuing business as usual. Good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. No, that's good.
Let's keep tallying up all these costs. I want to definitely make a strong case.
Yeah, and the math really comes down to the situation. But when you talk about it, look at the loss of revenue. I mean, the loss of revenue is dependent on the industry, of course, and what exactly you're trying to do. But let's look at that loss of revenue. The lost productivity, the cost to recover that lost time. Maybe there's overtime that has to go into production. And it's the intangibles that are in there. You put these things together because the one thing you can't get back is time. I mean, you've got to replace that somehow if you want to continue. And this type of equation, you can do this type of equation. You probably do it every day with saving people money on internet or managed services or UCaaS. Let's flip it around and show them the lost time. And this is one of the equations that can be used to plug that in. And it's something that most people probably don't sit down and do. What happens if I'm down for an hour? But help them do the math, or just kind of walk them through it. Even if the numbers don't exactly match, get them close to what it might be. But it's a good opportunity to ask questions about their business. You never want to miss an opportunity to deep dive into their business. You probably know all the other services they have, when their contracts are up, who their providers are. But what you're not asking is some of these questions, and it's not a fire and brimstone conversation. It's really you as an IT professional, a trusted advisor to your organization, doing the smart thing and really showing people what it takes. So, if the circuits, if the replacement cost of whatever you're trying to put in there, can show the value, it's a no-brainer every single time. And it's a great opportunity to increase the the revenues in this particular deal. Okay, so gone through a few scenarios now. Internet connectivity is just it's crucial. It's one of the main things, and we've said it several times. AirSpring has a portfolio of products and services that can really mitigate these damages. We don't always control 100%. There's fiber cuts, there's acts of God, there's all kinds of things. But preparing for the worst will help you be the best and have your business running at 100% uptime, if at all possible. And that's what we strive to do. And I know that's what you strive to do as well. Last thing you want is to be down. So if we look at the 4 pillars of business continuity, and the good news is AirSpring is a player in all of them. I mean, these are our strengths. When you come to AirSpring, when you do business, when you go through a discovery session, these are the things that we do the best. We have subject matter experts on each of these in our sales engineering team, and it allows us to have that deeper discussion along with you. So, managed connectivity, primary, backup. A lot of people think of the primary. We need that giant gig circuit. Maybe not. Maybe we look at a different scenario with 2 smaller circuits in SD-WAN. It's one of the things that's really changed this industry is SD-WAN. Also on a global basis, we at AirSpring, we're growing our SD-WAN offerings into a global. We have a private layer 2 network now globally, which allows for companies in the U.S. who may have locations all over the world to be part of the same network and feel like you're part of the same team rather than those guys overseas, as it probably used to be, or having to piece together multiple products and services to make it work. UCaaS, we all know UCaaS has been a big deal this past year with everybody moving home, moving away to work remotely. There's some elements of UCaaS that also go into disaster recovery. Should people lose internet connectivity? SIP trunking, we have geo-redundant SIP trunking. It allows for termination, overflow, and understanding where to move things as needed. So some really good elements. And then sort of the thing that's just becoming a giant in the industry is managed security. And we could go through an entire webinar on managed security. But think about security breaches. What happens if a security breach happens? Not just is internet down, but a security breach. It's disaster recovery. It's business continuity. You've heard many of the horror stories of businesses having to shut down because someone else owns their network now. Security is the biggest thing. And if you haven't made yourself aware of the term SASE, hey, it's the new cloud. It's the new UCaaS. It's out here. We won't dive deeply in it today, but I want to make sure that it's on your radar because it's definitely the path you want to take. So the pillar of what we do is our global private network. Here's a map of where we have our POPs worldwide. We're expanding it all the time. I mean, the ones in the U.S. really are super POPs. Otherwise, that map would be a little bit crazy. But worldwide, we're adding POPs. There's more coming into South America soon, and it really is as we're growing this business, as we're growing our global private network. We're growing it on an as-needed basis. So these are things that we're putting a lot of money into. Internet worldwide. We can quote internet worldwide. So really our global private network managed 24/7, allows us to do many things, especially with geo redundancy when you're talking about disaster recovery and backup. Most of us are thinking about, okay, loss of internet. Now, what's my backup scenario there? This is kind of the most common thing that everybody goes to. First connection down, let's roll over to the second connection. And that's true. And that's where SD-WAN comes into play. But really, if you're talking about connectivity, AirSpring offers variety of ways. Maybe it's a remote location. Maybe you can get fiber from one company and broadband from another. Maybe it's 4G or coming soon to be more broadly available 5G. Satellite if it's remote, fixed wireless if that's what it is. I mean, I'm in Oklahoma. I have fixed wireless at my house. I live in the country, so I'm familiar with fixed wireless. I would love to have other options. There's satellite locations that don't have those options. Maybe your primary is satellite and your backup's fixed wireless. All of these matter and can be put into a single scenario where you have multiple options should the primary fail. Or you want to combine them. When you combine them with SD-WAN, there's certainly multiple options give a better service, better prioritization of traffic, and a great use of the expense as well. So any mode, any type, any transport, anywhere, and we love to say that because it's true. A little picture of our Platinum SD-WAN. Certainly VeloCloud is what we lead with, but we do have 3 options: Fortinet, Cisco, Meraki. A little bit of different flavors for different folks, but our Platinum SD-WAN offering by VeloCloud, it's what we use globally. It says down there, note, I sit on the technology board. I don't personally, but our VP of Solutions Engineering does. It gives us a great relationship with VeloCloud, something that not a lot of folks can mention. And again, SD-WAN is another one of those topics that can be, a whole day's worth of information. In fact, we do at AirSpring, we have an SD-WAN boot camp that we run. It's a 4 to 5 hour class. It's in depth, and it's really something that opens your eyes to the technology. We're also doing one on security. So these things can be very in depth in a whole industry all themselves, as you guys know. There are some benefits to SD-WAN, and certainly there are probably more than 8 of them. These are some of the most common ones, but really SD-WAN has revolutionized the industry when you talk about load balancing and the management of the traffic, and the quality of experience. You see quality of service. We like to talk about the quality of experience. That's what SD-WAN does. It provides a better quality of experience. So when you're looking at your backup scenarios, you're selecting a primary, you're selecting a backup, you're putting all that into the SD-WAN box. It's doing its job. When one fails, the other one fails over and becomes active. There's all kinds of scenarios here, but really SD-WAN should be your foundation for your backup scenarios. Our Airpbx, this is our UCaaS offering. As you know, everybody's working from home, as I mentioned, and most people, some people still think of UCaaS as the replacement for the premise phone system. Yeah, it's true, but that was 10 years ago. Now what we're talking about is just the mobility, the ability to work from anywhere is what hosted is now. And in a backup scenario, if the internet goes down where you're located, the good news is your hosted platform is somewhere else. If you have a good backup plan, you can create that in the auto attendants and the admin panels, really to route calls automatically. There are built-in plans to your UCaaS, and it's exactly what you want to do. And given that it's a managed product from AirSpring, it allows for 24/7 monitoring and making sure that it's always up. And if it's not up, hey, we have AirCare portals. We have people available to make sure that things fail over as needed. And when you're using AirSpring SIP trunking, you can have those pointed in other directions if you need to. Really nimble in how we can provide backup scenarios should something fail, or there's a fiber cut, or there's an internet outage of some sort. UCaaS still can be utilized from your remote locations. Here's the security part. Don't have to go through many of these stats to tell you it's bad if there's a security breach. You can talk about all the doom and gloom of it, but that's exactly what it is, and that's why these billion-dollar industries have continued to grow. Eddie, think about a 100-person company. They're probably built on some intellectual property that they don't want stolen. That's the foundation of their business. If they're not protecting it properly in their network, it could be stolen. It could be compromised in some fashion, and that's really important. Maybe a larger company can absorb that. A smaller company can't. And on this call, I think we're working with mainly companies from 10 users to 100 employees, somewhere in that range, maybe a little higher. It's very important that you're talking about these things with your customers and with your IT departments. Just because, hey, if something happens, now what? You can look at the internet outage and say, hey, internet outage, here's the math. What happens on the security side? Hey, it gets a lot crazier at that point. That's why I think if you haven't familiarized yourself with security and the SASE world now, it's very important. And I'm sure Sonya and the team have many great webinars coming up on security. I encourage you to jump in and check those out. And if you want, next week we have a security boot camp as well. you can jump on there and educate yourself in this part of it. We would love to have you.
Yeah, we did have a question, and it's back a few slides, but
Okay.
John B, as in Bravo, says, these days working from home, how does AirSpring help address congestion in the local neighborhood? So I'm guessing that means users working from home in an area that's congested. Is that something that AirSpring would be jump in and roll up their sleeves and help develop a solution for those users?
Well, absolutely. That's something that we can work on. And it kind of fits in with the question before about the quality of service on Zoom calls. We can't actually come in and help the congestion in the neighborhood. That's I guess a product of where you live, but we can help you with the traffic. We can help you prioritize that traffic as you use it. If you have one option in your neighborhood, that's tough. That's where you can kind of start to look at some other options. It gets a little bit expensive as a home user to bring in multiple services, but we all recognize that when 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock comes, and all the kids come home from school and the neighborhoods get flooded, the internet can get bad. That's a product of not being on a dedicated circuit with some of the broadband. So we can help with some of our at-home SD-WAN solutions, help prioritize that traffic. Then that's about as far as we can go until we can find a better provider for you locally. It's one of the great things we can do with some of our circuit locators and our vendor locators in terms of who's in the area. That's another option, is figuring out, okay, what's a better solution for you in that marketplace. But maybe you do have the local cable company and that's all you have. Then we can work on the hardware side to make sure we can give you a better experience on the traffic.
Great. And then also just to piggyback on what you had talked about earlier with the global SD-WAN deployments, we do have a white paper that we just put out at Technology Source. So for any customers on the call today that are interested in seeing that, or any partners or advisors that you want to get that out to your customers who may be in the need for a global SD-WAN deployment, that is an area that we're really focusing on right now at Technology Source and want to help. So I heard you mention that, and my ears perked up. So yeah.
Yeah, we have subject matter experts on that as well. We have several people that work specifically on our global SD-WAN deployment. So we like to put people in the right place for success when they come to AirSpring. So if you have a global opportunity, Sonya and the Technology Source team have some great options. We feel like our option is one of those that you should look at along the way here. And we have some videos as well. We have a whole website dedicated to our global SD-WAN product. So there's a lot of great things that we can offer along the way.
Great.
Couple things that make AirSpring different. You could say we're the Amazon of connectivity. Just with the multiple products and services that we have, it can be daunting. What we do the best is multi-product, multi-location. Every vendor that you're going to talk to as an agent or even as a customer, they're going to want multi-location. Yeah, that's great. That helps scale the business. But we're looking for customers that are multi-product. Being able to stack products on there and provide an all-in-one solution, those are the things that make us great, and our product set makes us different in that respect. We have in-and-eyes with over 30 carriers, and it's probably a lot more than that given the access that we have to some of the smaller carriers. But it allows us to aggregate vendors and bring in that one source solution, give you that one contract, one invoice, one phone number, one project manager. Not being able, as an agent or an IT professional, the worst thing you can do is bring in 4 or 5 different vendors for your one solution. Bring in one, have some continuity. And AirSpring's different in that fact that we assign a project coordinator that stays with you for the life of your customer deal, the life of your deal, so that we don't have to go back and start over at square one every time you have a need. That's really important to us and important to decision makers when evaluating who they buy from. Really key thing is our personality, our service, our customer support. it's so important to have the greatest customer and agent experience. You don't do business with someone who gives you a poor experience. You don't eat at a restaurant twice if you didn't like it the first time. That's the way it is. And with so many options, we have to be there and all the time be delighting the customer. I think that's one thing that needs to be said. When it comes to support, our average answer time is 11 seconds. And that's very important. You're not sitting on hold while you have an outage. You're not sitting on hold, trying to fix an issue. As an IT professional, you've got better things to do than sit on hold. And we answer that call. The average time is 11 seconds. We like to kind of say less than 60. Maybe there's some congestion that day and it's 25. Hey, you're getting answered in under 60, and that's very important for us as we tend to your needs. And the final thing is, we have an escalation list that goes all the way to the CEO, and we'll show you that in just a second. And it's published, it's public. If you have an issue with a particular product or service, you can find someone. I'm actually on that list as well. And that's something that's unique in this industry, is to be able to publish an escalation list that has the CEO's name on it. Highly unusual, but something that differentiates us. And a quick look at what we have in terms of the three kind of pillars of our service here, cloud communications, managed network services, and some other managed IT. It gives you no outs when you're talking to a customer. They have to tell you no about 20 times before you get to where, like, okay, see you later, let's go have a beer. Because we have something to offer them in all situations. They're in contract with their primary. Hey, we have backup. We've got a backup. Okay, do you have SD-WAN? Do you have that put into your network properly? There are so many different questions. We'd love to sit and talk to you guys about the different questions and angles that you can take when asking about the business continuity, because it's very important to us, and that's what we do in the managed service business. If we can't manage your network well, then we've failed, and this is what we do all day, every day. So we give you probably the most questions to ask out of any vendor that you're going to work with.
Great.
And here's that escalation list. Yeah, go ahead. What
a cool list. Wow. That looks very detailed. I can see why, an organization would feel safe knowing that they can definitely get help if they need it. So speaking of that, we have a potential customer who's on today, and Becky W. Thank you for asking a question, Becky. I will put your name in the drawing. She says, my company currently has their own PBX IP phone system that connects through our pre-programmed sonic wall. Our phone system is limited on how it connects and which lines I can see based on location. Would AirSpring PBX or IP phones be used with the sonic wall, and would she be able to see all the locations using AirSpring?
Absolutely. Through our admin panels, they'd be able to see that exclusively. I mean, they'd have access as the administrator to see all their locations, to see the activity in and out all the time. Yes, you would be able to see that. And, we would work with you on the particular settings of that sonic wall to make sure that the traffic is passing through as it should. But easy answer is yes.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so guys, this is published. This is on our website. There's a lot of people that test this all the time, and it's not meant for people to say, "Hey, me, John Young, I'm going to solve your problem." But you know what? If you get to me, it means I need to figure out why you got to me and who I can get you to fix your problem and service you. And that's why Avi's down at the bottom. I mean, he's our CEO. Daniel, his brother, owner of the company, he's on every particular service. So we expect that you'll never get past level one because our customer service is great. But there are times that you need to get someone specific. We publish that, and we're proud of that, and we're not going to run from it. Finally, I've got a couple of case studies here. We don't have to go through the case studies, but just say, there are many use cases for disaster recovery. We solve a lot of problems, and of course, when it comes to solving many different problems for different industries, you come across great case studies. We've got several here that obviously we'll provide to you, Sonya. Your team can have access to all these case studies. these are great individual stories about how we were able to solve problems. What were the challenges and objectives from the customer? How did we solve it? What are the results? And what did the customer think about it? Necessarily the revenue that we make is not as important to say. There's some good opportunity out there for agents, and a great thing for the IT professionals on the call to say, hey, we could have saved a lot of money by using the AirSpring solution. So this one here is a credit union that was looking for some business continuity. We also have a healthcare company here that also was looking at the same thing, given their high volume call center and just being connected at all times. So if you're running a high volume call center these days, AirSpring, that's what we do. That's what we were founded on, with SIP trunking for call centers and dialers. Many different opportunities in that respect. But each of these have the same theme: uptime. They required uptime, didn't have it. We solved that problem, and we moved down the road with a happy customer. So we've got these case studies and many others, depending on the industry, depending on the solution, the product, service. Scott Haley's put together some great case studies here to help you and to help the IT professionals understand that we're the right solution for you. And Sonya, I believe I've come to the end of the presentation.
Okay, great. No, that was great. We do have questions. So you guys just feel free to ask questions if you had anything for John or Scott. We're really lucky to have them. I will say, I was introduced to AirSpring on one of these virtual events with Scott and moved forward myself. So I have a couple location and SD-WAN deployment for a small business that I'm looking to get started. So I was just thrilled, and some of the reasons that I was excited was, for one, what we talked about in the very beginning of this. If I don't have internet, my particular business is hotels, and people will literally make their choice to come to your hotel versus another hotel, especially up in the forest where I'm at, based on if they can work from home, which is work from anywhere these days, right? And how important that is. And so, looking for organizations like my own who are, struggling with their internet services, it is such a blessing to be able to find an organization that's able to come in and help, because quite frankly, it can be, the difference between getting a guest to stay at the hotel or not. So great service that I'm excited to have at our organization. So, and some of the questions we also have today are, so let's see, this is from John V, and I already put your name in the bowl, John. And the question is, along with the AirSpring services, would you be managing non-AirSpring services, such as routers and modems for multi-site clients?
Yeah, typically it gets a little tricky when you're managing someone else's hardware, but we can monitor them. Certainly, they wouldn't be part of warranties and things like that in terms of service management. But putting them on the network, they absolutely can be managed along with our products. Obviously, we use it as an opportunity to upgrade, but we recognize that many times there's a big investment already. So the answer is yes, and then we look a little deeper into see what kind of routers, modems, switches are out there that we need to look at. But that's a great question for our sales engineers to dive in a little deeper and look at the particular products and services that we're selling.
Yeah. All right. This one is from Jason C. Jason C. I know this gentleman. He says, well, I'm just going to ask it this way, because I always used to get this question when I was at Effortless, because I was saying how great they were. What are some things to be aware of that, customers might want to be aware of when they're working with AirSpring that aren't so great, or some issue that they may want to be aware of in advance? Something that you could any insight you might be able to give, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And we don't dance around things we don't do very well. I mean, we don't offer any colo services, things like that. But if you want to look at some of the exploding pieces of the industry, which is the UCaaS and CCaaS part, we don't do very well at the CCaaS. And we have some offerings for contact center. But I would say if there's one weakness in our portfolio, that we should have addressed many years ago and just haven't. It's the contact center piece. And there are so many people who specialize in that. We haven't done a great job at the contact center piece. So that's one of the areas that I feel like we're not as strong as we should be.
Okay, that's fair, and I appreciate that. Great, and so another question from the audience. This one is from Fred K. We do, let's see, would AirSpring do, okay, so this person is an MSP, and they wanted to know if they could work with AirSpring with a white label model.
Yeah, there are some things we can white label. There's some things we can't. If you're talking about the service element of it, we don't necessarily do some of that pieces where people call in and we have our support team answer as you, things like that. But in terms of the services, we do some white labeling of our AirSpring services. How much and how deeply we can go. It's not something I could answer on this call because there are some elements that that are part of our wholesale side and part of some other divisions. But absolutely, answer is we'd love to have the conversation about what we can and can't do in terms of white labeling some of our services.
Okay. You mentioned another question. You mentioned multiple internet providers and how they could all be put onto one bill. Can you talk a little bit more about that for an organization? This person is asking the question. They have 200 sites, and they had a question on if they could get, it's an apartment complex organization, and they wanted to know if they could get each site all to go in on one bill, but then still be able to see what the monthly total was for each location and that sort of thing from an accounting standpoint so that they could bill back to people.
Absolutely. So we do that a lot with distributed enterprise. Many different organizations have their own P&L. They want to make sure that they can account for the services that are each location. Yes, that's available on our bills today. Depending on how they want it broken out, if there's GL codes or whatever it is that they have. If they have 30 different locations and 30 different addresses and they need to see those broken down, yes, we do that on our bills. And that's really important when you talk about some of the accounting that goes in behind the scenes, getting one bill, but still being able to decipher about what's going on and where and when. Yes, we do that.
Okay, great. Okay, this question is from Joe M. Joe says, hotels, hospitals, call centers have all been mentioned. And I think call centers were mentioned not as a strength, but more as an area that maybe wasn't the top industry for AirSpring, but definitely hotels and hospitals. But this question is, what other industries are the main source of AirSpring's clients?
Yes, well, call centers actually are a great thing. It's just the contact center as a service, like UCaaS, that piece isn't so good. Call centers, that is a strong suit of ours. And when we're providing the connectivity, the SIP trunking, the LD, the dialing, I mean, all the back end, the guts of a call center, yes, we do that very well. And if you think about hospitals and hotels, kind of call those out a little bit just because they typically need larger circuits. They need a more managed service, and they have multiple products that they're adding in there. And you really would talk about industry verticals. AirSpring doesn't necessarily have industry verticals because if you think about it, we're providing connectivity to all companies. And that's why I like to talk about the various use cases because we're not really saddled with a particular thing. If you think about the companies who offer broadband or just the kind of your broadband providers out there, they got hammered by retail last year with all the closings. And when COVID hit, the closing of stores just hammered that retail industry. And we weren't highly leveraged in retail because we've spent a lot of time kind of working our way into these various verticals. And so that's why I like the multiple products, multiple services. And it's not necessarily just one industry. These are just a few. Financial services is big for us. Technology companies are really big for us. So anybody who needs circuits, multiple products, That's really the industry that we're in. And I would never try to pigeonhole us into one or the other, because we offer something to every industry, and we can offer a use case for every industry as well.
That's great. Well, good. I think we have answered all the questions, and I think we're to the point now where we can do our fun giveaways. Unless, Scott, did you have anything else to say today to the crew here?
No, but this was John's show. This is an example of backup connectivity. In case John went down or something, I was here to step in. So it's our own manual backup as well.
That's right. We got backups for our presenters. We had a plan.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, we're glad you're both here, and I'm really excited about working with AirSpring this year, and just, for my own personal reasons, and then also just seeing all the customers that you guys are helping right now. It's so thrilling and exciting to just be a part of that and to help make those connections. We feel like at Technology Source, sometimes we're like the technology matchmakers, so we get to bring, organizations that are looking for these types of services and then find them the best prices and the quotes and everything like that. So great. Well, I will do the drawing now. Oh, and then we have the trivia question. So let's start with the trivia question. So the trivia question is, you or a customer of AirSpring can call in and receive live help in, is it B, 2 hours, C, 60 minutes, or D, 60 seconds? All right, it looks like John B as in Bravo got the answer to that with D. It's 60 seconds. Congratulations to John, a returning champion here. He's always quick with the trivia and has great questions. So thank you. Wait, 10:52. Oh, is it? You guys, I don't know. It's in between either Fred K or John B, because they both use different platforms, and I was only watching the chat platform. So I'm not sure. Do we split it and do 25-25 or what?
I'll let you decide.
Okay.
You decide.
Is there a tiebreaker question? No pressure for trivia questions on the fly, guys. All right, I have a tiebreaker question. All right, this is between John B and Fred K. All right, you guys. AirSpring has been around for B, 15 years, C, 20 years, or D, 23 years. I've only got an answer from John. Oh, okay. Fred got it right. Good job. It was 20 years, and they just had their 20-year anniversary this year. So congratulations, Fred. Woo! Good job. All right, now let's do our giveaway. So this is for a $50 Amazon gift card. So Fred, you get one of those, and then this lucky winner gets one of those. They're all stuck together because I use sticky notes. Oh, all right, here we go. Becky W. Congratulations, Becky, for your question. Thank you for answering or asking that question. It was a good one, and we will be getting that $50 gift card to you. If you could please send me an email, Becky, if I don't have your email address. Mine is Sonya, SONYA, .m, as in Mary, at technologysource.com. I will write it right now in the chat. All right, cool. So that is my email address. Send me an email just with they don't just need their address, like email address probably. Sounds good.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you
email.
everybody for joining us. We'll see you in 2 weeks, right after Valentine's Day. I hope you have a good one with your sweethearts out there, and enjoy, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right, bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
take care.
Scott.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.